know it's been a minute, y'all, but I'm back on the scene. I see that that everything was going a little sideways, the watching and everything. But I'm back. Let's get into the hot topics of this Tuesday, baby. We got a couple things to get down into. Let's get into the federal government. I said, a federal judge now ordered Donald Trump to put back up the portraits that he had took down in Philadelphia of, the slaves exposition. These portraits about slavery and everything that was up were taken down, that he wanted to be taken down. It's like he trying to erase everything that what made the United States what it is and what it is known for, slavery and a whole bunch of other things, that everything it have stolen from everybody. You done stole the land. You done enslaved people. You even trying to throw people out. So they want to stop him and put these pictures back up on display to the public. That's what's going on there. But let's move on to the next. Let's get into it, baby. Let's get into some mess of the mess. So we got up next. Hold on. Let me fix it. Okay. There we go. So we got Mr. Newman. So he Cam Newton. So on his little show, his little podcast and everything, he do a little sit down. He's down with his two homegirls, and they were just doing a little chit chat. And then I said, I like these two ladies because they stayed on his neck this whole entire time doing this one. They had a couple of topics about his relationship, baby. Yes, they asked him about why he ain't married her yet. Do she want to get married? He went, yeah, she want to get married. Why you ain't married? He went, because he went, I ain't looking for a title. I'm looking for the feeling. I said, that makes no sense. You looking for the feeling? I said, sir, you already in the feeling. You doing everything else but getting married. This woman want to marry you. Y'all got 2 kids. And you got a village of kids, and you just stringing her. At this point, it seemed like both of y'all actually like this type of situation. And if she really wanted to get married, she would go ahead and give him that ultimatum: either marry me or we move on. But I think she's happy the way it is, being strong along, being the next baby mama. But yeah, he also, let's get into a little TT with this. He asked about his relationship with them. They said, you don't want us to know about that, do you? You don't want us to tell you, it look like hell. His relationship with her, it don't look like hell. It just look like it's a complicated situation. And she just likes being in that situation. Just like him. She likes that toxicness. And from her being the woman he with, her being empowering women to be independent and everything else, to being in a situation where you then became submissive, it's kind of weird. I say I've never understood when certain women who are very independent end up meeting a certain caliber, I put it like that, caliber of a so-called man, and they end up just changing who they are. And they never get out of that cycle of that. And they don't listen to anybody else. But, Cam Newton, sir, good luck. I don't know. But I said, baby, it's another thing. When he showed his head, when he took that head off, they went, dang. I know they said, oh, them girls could believe that head looked like that. I said, one girl, oh, you look good. The other was like, I said, girl, he look a hot mess. He need to go get it retwisted. Everything. Looking like a rag doll. A child's doll look better than his head looks. But people gonna do what they gonna do. I just think he like embarrassing her, and it's just crazy. But a lot of women like these type of men. I never understand it. I don't. But y'all let me know how y'all feel about it. Let's move on to the next. Let's get into finesse two times. So apparently he was up in the studio and a group of ladies was in there. And one of the ladies, I said the lady in the red, she ended up, he asked her what was her age. She said 17. Other ladies thought she was joking. I think she was joking, but then I don't know. Cause she was like, I can't believe she said, I can't believe I said that because he went to the restroom and then he called his homeboys out there and told them she gotta go. Then at that point, they got her out of there. He come back in. They start playing the music, getting the beat. He trying to get into the groove. He went, nah, that didn't mess up my whole flow. I got daughters. I got daughters. I got daughters of her age, and everything. I said, sir, but I said you disrespectful to women all the way around. I said, the way you talk to your own main girl. I said, you don't care about your daughter. But I said it was nice to see that you did end up getting her up out of there. Even though that she said her age was 17. But I said, why are them women even in the studio while you're in there trying to make music? I said, because if you can't make music without having ladies in there, that's a problem. That's just me. Let me know how y'all feel. And he did the right thing. He did. But it just it's weird. I said I never understood why they have all these women in these studios with them. I said, why? I said, you're in there to do your business. That's how you make your money. I said, you don't need a woman in there to help you with anything. She don't need to be listening or talking. I said, you need to go in that booth, listen to that, do what you're supposed to do. You're a rapper, right? But let's move on. Let's get into the next thing. Let's get into my girl. Uh, I forget her name. Just uh, Rosa Perez. I know I'm pronouncing her first name wrong, but she said she gave her opinion on, Kamala Harris and said that, you know, when Kamala ran for president, that a lot of people didn't know who she was personally. That's why, it didn't work out so well for her. And they didn't understand who she was during her campaign. Because her campaign, they didn't understand who Kamala Harris truly was. And they didn't know who they were voting for, to get behind her and all that good stuff. And I said, if you actually paid attention to Kamala and when she ran with President Biden the first term, you actually got to know who she was doing that. And you got to know who she was as uh he was running when he was running again. You still got to know who this woman was until he dropped out and she took on her own. You still knew exactly who Kamala Harris really was 100% personally. But I think a lot of people made their mind up on who they was going to pick, who they was going to vote for. Because if Biden knew he was not going to really run all the way through, then he shouldn't have really went ahead and did it and let her actually go ahead and run at the beginning of, you know, the campaign. But that didn't work. That's not what happened. She only had a short time to do what she needed to do. And I think she did a great job. I just think that a lot of people did not vote during this last election. And we got who we got in office. And we got to deal with him for the next 2 more years. And that's it. And that's just what it is. But let me know how y'all feel about it. Let's move on to the next. Hold up. Come on, stop doing that. One more. So the last thing that I got, baby, we got a daycare, boo. So we got a daycare with 3 workers, boo. They ended up abusing some children. So they ended up, I ain't gonna let that deal, not the children. So they ended up taking wooden spoons and disciplining these kids. So one of the kids ended up, because of the kids didn't listen to them when they called their name or told them to do something, they would use a wooden spoon and hit them. So it all got back to the parents. And now all 3 of these ladies are arrested. I said, baby, what are they doing? And I said, if I'm not mistaken, I said, it was probably in Florida again. But I said, it's always something going down where I said, I could tell these women were doing more than just using wooden spoons, baby. They were using that hand too, baby. Because I said, "Boo, look at them. They look like they some rough people." But yeah, they now arrested for for 2 counts of child endangerment, child abuse, and also they actually threatened the children. I said, how you gonna threaten the victim after you did what you did? Because I know one of them did drag one of the child. I said they were doing a lot in this story, and it just kept going and going. But that's all that I got for y'all today. Thank y'all for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, and join the channel. It's your boy Paul, and I will get back at y'all later. Bye, y'all.